Let's see, I gotta figure this out. Hey Sly, what you doing up there? You just checking things out, see how we're doing today? Let's see, do I have everything? Let me see if I have everything down here. Got it. See if this is all okay. Yeah, it looks like it's all right back there. Let's get my binoculars because we gotta go exploring and make sure we can see everything from really far away. I don't know. It seems like there might be something way off in the distance. Oh yeah, look at that. There's a big building way back there. Maybe you and I can go way back there and visit sometime and see what's going on. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Oh, hey kids. Glad to see you again. How you been doing? I know Xander's been doing pretty well because his mom sent me pictures of all of that stuff that he did, putting Noah and the ark and the story all together in the right order with all those pictures. He did a really good job, Xander. So, yeah, you're filling in all of your points really well here. So you should be getting, if you haven't gotten it yet, all of you guys should be getting your packets pretty soon because I sent them out this last week. And then we can fill in the next days. And Xander, I think that you're about ready to earn a safari hat and become an official explorer. You already got your knapsack. That's awesome. So, yeah, you've gotten 4 or 5 more ribbons since we've been doing this. That's awesome, Xander. Good job. Well, I wanted to do a little bit of review. Because we started at church talking about how Lucifer was in heaven and he thought he was as good as God and he wanted to take over heaven and be in charge of everything because he thought he was just all that, And then God said, no, it's not happening. So he kicked him out of heaven. And he took 1/3 of the angels with him because he got that many people convinced that they should act up and be bad and do what. But Lucifer said, you ever had any friends that tried to get you to go against what your mom and dad told you you're supposed to do? And they just really sounded convincing. And then you got yourself in trouble? Well, that's what happened with Lucifer and all of those other angels. And a whole bunch of them ended up getting kicked out of heaven. And they've not been real happy about it ever since. Then we talked about how God created the whole earth. He made all of the planets, and he made all the stars, and he made all the animals, and the water, and the land, and the plants, and then he made Adam and Eve. And then we talked about Cain and Abel and what happened with them, and then we talked about Noah and how God told him to build an ark out of gopher wood, and it took him like 120 years, I think, to build it, and he was 500 years old when he started. And then it rained and rained and rained, and the ark floated away with the animals and Noah's whole family, and then all of a sudden, the sun came out, dried up all that water, and the ark settled down, and then the dove came back with the olive branch, and it wasn't too much longer. God opened that door to that ark, and all the animals got to go out and explore all that land. Well, several more years, many more years down the road, Noah's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids became a big, huge population, and they just thought they were all that. Here we go again. Somebody thinking they know all the answers, they know everything to do, and they think they're better than God. So you see all these folks over here? They're looking at all of this stuff they built. They're like, look at that beautiful city sitting up on the hill and all of these buildings we built. We're just so smart and we can just do all this stuff. You know what? I bet we can build a tower all the way up to heaven to where God is. That's how smart we are. So we're just going to build a tower, and it's going to reach all the way up to the sky, to where God is, because we're just that smart, and we're just that good, and we're better than God. Who would ever think they're better than God? God created the whole universe. I don't get it, but there are people still today even who think they're smarter than God. They don't believe that there is a creator, and I don't know how you can look at this world and see all the beautiful plants and all the animals and the sloths like Sly and the babies and ever doubt that there is a God who created all this. But there are people who think they're that smart, and so people back in the Bible times, they thought they were that smart too, and so they thought, we're going to build us a tower and it's going to go all the way up to heaven. And everybody at that time spoke the same language. It'd be like if everybody spoke English, or if everybody spoke Spanish. Now, I know a little bit of Spanish, so I can understand a little bit and I can communicate a little bit. But French, I know about 2 words. German, I know a couple of numbers. Russian, I know nothing. Chinese, Mandarin is actually the language. I don't know anything about that. So if somebody was speaking to me in those languages, I would be completely lost. So it really helps if everybody you're talking to knows the same language. And all of these folks that built all this stuff could talk to each other. And they're like, hey, we need that brick over there or that block over there. And we need you to put this up there. And they built all these beautiful structures. So they got kind of full of themselves and thought they could build a tower all the way up to heaven. So they put their foundation down and they're so happy and everybody's looking all this stuff and they're like, all right, look at this, look what we can do. We put this on and we're going to put some more blocks on there. We got to get a nice foundation and we're going to start building and building and we're just going to keep making it higher and higher till we get it all the way up to the sky. And then all of a sudden God said, you know what? They think they're so smart. And they think that they can keep building this tower all the way up to heaven, which I don't know how you could ever do that. We're going to show them that I'm God. That's what God said. We're going to show them I'm God and I'm still in charge. You know, a lot of things happen today that people think they're so smart. And then all of a sudden God says, no, I'm still God. I'm still in control. And I let you get away with stuff for a little while. But then we're done. Same thing happens with us, right? I mean, Mom and Dad are smarter than we think they are sometimes. I tell you, we think they don't know what we're up to, but they do. I don't know if you know this, but I teach school, and I have kids doing stuff in the classroom, and I won't even be looking at them, and I'm like, John, would you put that away? And they're like, how did you know this? Do you have eyes in the back of your head? Well, we do have kind of that sense that we know when you're up to something. Parents are like that. Well, God doesn't have to have an extra sense. He knows. He can see everything. He knows everything. He knows the future. He knows the past. It's all to him. He knows it all. So how you could ever think you could outsmart God, I don't know. But those folks thought they could outsmart God and build a tower all the way up to heaven. So God said, okay, in order to do that, you got to be able to talk to each other. I'll take care of that. So all of a sudden, he said, you're all going to be speaking different languages. Now this city that they had built that was so magnificent and beautiful and awesome, it was called, now some people pronounce it Babel, other people pronounce it Babel. Have you ever heard about people babbling? Meaning they're just jabbering and it doesn't make any sense? Well, that's kind of where that phrase came from. Because God said, all right, the reason why you guys can do this is because you can communicate with each other. So you're telling each other to build this building and build this tower? Well, let me take care of that. And then all of a sudden, nobody could understand each other. So this guy is telling this guy, hey, I said put that block over there. but he said it in Spanish, and this guy who spoke Hebrew and is like, I had no idea what you're saying. So then this guy says, but well, wait a minute, no, do this. And he's like, I have no clue what you're saying. Anybody ever talk to you and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying, I don't understand it at all? It's like, ¿qué? That's Spanish for what? Like, no entiendo. I don't understand. But the other guy that he was talking to didn't understand what no entiendo meant. So he couldn't help him out. So then you had somebody over here that maybe speaking something like French, and they're like, oh no, I don't know what we're doing. So this guy's like, oh, well, I'll take charge, I know. But nobody understood him either. So everybody was just babbling, and nobody understood each other. So since nobody understood each other, they're like, I'm not sticking around this place. So they took their families and they moved off because their families could understand them, but nobody else could. And you know what? You can feel kind of isolated when you're someplace that nobody understands you, and you don't understand anybody else. So if you're ever around, maybe you're in a restaurant that's not American food, but maybe it's Mexican food, and everybody is speaking Spanish and you don't understand them. Imagine how they felt when they came to America and they were introduced to everybody who spoke English and they didn't understand that. Or I have some friends that are from Africa, and some speak Swahili. I don't understand anything of Swahili. So can you imagine coming here? I have other friends from Africa who speak French. I don't know French. So I didn't understand them when they spoke French. They were kind enough to learn my language so that I could understand them. But back then, when all of a sudden everybody's languages got changed, they didn't know how to figure out what the other person was saying. They don't have like Duolingo like we do today, or some of these other online things that can teach you other lessons. They just were stuck. So then that tower, all the people just left. That big city got abandoned, kind of fell apart because there was nobody left to stay in it, because everybody left, and that tower just sat in ruins because nobody knew what to do. Now, you're like, well, that's kind of a weird story. Why would God put that in the Bible? Well, like I said, it goes back to the fact that God just has to remind us sometimes He's the one in charge. You know, personally, I like the idea that God's in charge, because there are a lot of things that I don't know what to do about. I don't know how to handle them. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have God to go to and say, hey, God, I am stuck. I don't know what to do. This situation is more than I know what to do with or can handle, and I'm really upset, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. But God has everything in control, and all we have to do is go to Him, and then remember to leave it in His hands. Because, hey, if He can stop a group of people that could build beautiful cities and towers way back in Bible times, long before Jesus ever came to earth, they were that smart, and He just stopped them cold in their tracks. Don't you think He can take care of our little problems? All right, well, like I said, there's some packets that were sent out, and if you will either post on Kids Quest or send me a private message with the pictures, then I will put your ribbons and stickers on the board for attendance, and then you will be getting more prizes. The packet I sent this week, there was a little prize in there too, and it was for wrapping up Noah. There were a whole bunch of activities for that, and then some activities about the story of the Tower of Babel, or Babel. I recently heard a person call it that, and it does make sense. But anyway, I'll see you guys next week, and you have a wonderful day. God bless. Love you. Keep exploring.